Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture brought to you by my sponsor, Mixum Printing, the smarter way to print. Printing your creative project can be confusing and stressful, but Mixum is here to make it easy. With their instant quote calculator lets you get as many quotes as you want for free to their 24-hour customer service support. Mixum is here to make sure your printing experience runs smoothly from start to finish. And right now, you can choose from a range of premium printing options and materials, and the company has also printed many successful Kickstarter campaigns. A bunch of them you have heard about on this very show, including Sam Quinton's 47 Furious Tales. And right now, they offer services in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK, and Mixum can print and reach your audience anywhere in the world. So if you're ready to print smarter, not harder, head over to Mixum.com. And right now, listeners of my show, you drop my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of a current order to get 5% discount on that very first order. And I know printing your project is expensive. Every percentage off can help you either, if you're gold $1,000 over or $4 over, it can help to reduce your costs because printing comics are expensive. So that is Mixam.com. Type my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of your current order to 5% discount on that very order. And I have with me cover artist Ivan Tao, who has done work for Zenescope, Boom Studios, Dynamite Image, NDC, and a bunch of other companies out there. So welcome to the show.
Hello, hi. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited because you've been killing it right now in comics. And I mean, all your covers sell out. Your covers are hard to get. Obviously, the Comic Mint, the Eat, Bane, Kill tour covers sold out, and I have that book, and I have a few of your other covers. And obviously, I'm trying to find some of your covers that sold out, and well, I can't afford it because they're expensive. But I digress right there. And I think the best place to start, though, is how did you get involved in comics and art? Because I think that's what everybody wants to know, because you've been doing this a while now.
Oh yeah, actually, just coming to comics like I think less than 1.5 years. Before that, I was working in game and advertising industry. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I was like working in other industry for like 10 years, and it's like I think maybe it's old enough to do something I really want. So I just try coming to comic industry, and very luckily for Zenescope, Raf and Dave actually accept my work. Yeah, and start doing some exclusive cover as well. So just 1.5 years, sorry, so far.
So I do want to talk about that, but I also want to focus on sort of your career before that, because you've done a bunch of things, like you stated, obviously gaming industry, a bunch of festivals, you've done some trading cards and card art, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. And obviously, one of the things, when we're going to go old school, this is an old school thing that you've done.
Oh, shit.
See, we go old school, and now
Oh, no.
I know this is a real product. I know that sort of on her breast is the logo, and I think this was like a festival in 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and it's a real Facebook product. And what's the story behind this? Obviously, we got the cat. Obviously, we got the tattoo. We got the product placement in there. And how did this one come about? Because this is what I think everybody wants to know. This is like the good stuff. This is going old school.
So actually, the logo on the breast is my wife's company. So this is her product, not my product. I'm just drawing the pinup of the characters. It's actually for a local event. It's called Comic Fiesta. So I was dating her, and back then she was my girlfriend. She also just started a brand selling merchandise for cat. It's called Bulat Cat, BULATCAT. Bulat in my local language is the meaning is round, meaning is a round fluffy cat. So I just paste the logo on the breast. The story is just like this.
No, I love it. I love everything about this. I love the fact that she's got the tattoo on her thigh and obviously on her neck and then her arms and obviously the logo and all that stuff. And obviously, what is this like? Because this is something that is sort of early on in your career. And it's really, an amazing piece, I feel. It shows what you can do, and it's very much that pinup style that you're now sort of becoming famous for, And then now I think everybody knows, and this is why I kind of wanted to bring it up, is that this was 9 years before. Obviously you've been in comics for a year and a half now, but like you've been doing this style for a long time at this point.
Yes, correct.
And
Yeah.
even further that, I mean, this is another piece that you did as well.
Oh, this is also like 500 years before. This is acrylic, yeah. Because I watched a movie, I think this character is very hot, so I paint her traditionally.
So I love Emma Frost, and I'm not too sure what your favorite Emma Frost drawing is. Mine is Greg Horn. Does an amazing Emma Frost, and this is very much is painted type.
Yeah. For
and
me,
so,
yeah. I just think she is very hot in this movie. Sorry for that. So yeah.
But I love it, and which that I love the fact that this is there, and then to even compound this one even further, we go into this as well. And
oh shit! It's all sexy pinup, yeah. Back then, correct.
And the reason why I bring all this up is that obviously this is sort of the pinup style, and this is all your early career and what you were doing. And obviously that sexy, good girl art or bad girl art. And what is this like? Because you do the female form really well. Obviously, I like big-breasted women. I like big-breasted Marvel women. I think this is Iron Spider or Iron Widow. I'm not exactly sure who it is per se, but it's pretty hot. And what is this like for you to do images like this? Because these are fun. And these are sort of pieces that you're doing that either become a print or that you're just doing it to showcase your work, but you're also showing what you can do as an artist. Because we got the background, we got the foreground, we got a bunch of stuff going on. So what's the story behind this piece?
This is for this is actually you are correct, because I was working in other industry, so like DC and Marvel. So when I was working in game or advertising, I was like, I have no time to do something I like. So this few pieces is one of the portfolio, let's say fan art I draw, because like to just feed my soul, just to show you that not show people but to myself, is like when I free time I can do something I like. But in that time I always draw very very sexy girl. Now also especially for Zenescope. And there's a Ducati logo over there because I watch a lot of racing bike. It's actually a Iron Widow, because at the time I think it's like Avenger one, right? It's very famous, popular. So I was like, oh, everyone is crazy about Avenger and Iron Man for sure. So I decided to draw this pin-up. Actually, pin-up is because of my wife. She's like, she back in the old days, she's like a lot of tattoo and pin-up. She like this kind of stuff. So it's also inspired me a little bit.
And I love it, and I think this is one of your best works, especially from early on, because it's just so beautifully done. And I feel like, this is going to sound weird, I feel like if you made her topless, it would be less sexy in a lot of ways. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's the imagination where we see enough. We see her, suggestive. Obviously, she's got, her hand on her hip, and it's all that stuff. And it's really just very playful. And I love this pinup. And it's like, I would love to get it tattooed on me. Like, I love it that much. And I'm not saying I'm going to get a tattoo, but like, it's the type of thing that's so perfect. And just extend her down a little bit. And then like, oh, it's such an amazing piece. And I love that. And then even going further into this, because I know you're really into one of my favorite animes as well, and talking about old school stuff.
Yeah, man. Dragon Ball is like
so how did you discover Dragon Ball Z? Because this is the better question. Let's not talk about the art. I'm more interested in how you discovered Dragon Ball Z first and foremost.
So in my country, right? I was pretty old. So in my time, it's like you have Dragon Ball, and for US we have Batman and Wolverine, X-Men, right? So Dragon Ball is like you either have Dragon Ball or do you know Sailor Moon, the girl with five hot girl with superpower, the anime. So either you like Dragon Ball or you like Sailor Moon. For me, for sure I like Dragon Ball. It's like just only it's only the I think I can confirm it's like it's the only comics that I complete. I mean the only anime I complete in my life so far is Dragon Ball. I'm so ashamed to say that. I like it so much.
And obviously, I don't know how much you know about me, but one of my first interviews that sort of started my interview career was Chuck Huber, and he is the voice actor for Android 17 in the English anime. And so he sort of kicked off my entire podcasting career in a lot of ways. And very cool interview where it was one of those things where, it's something that is something that I think people don't understand, is that obviously I have a very personal connection to Android 17, and there's a bunch of these out there too that you've done with Dragon Ball Z, and they're really amazing. And I just think it's very cool, and it's also fascinating when people, obviously there's Japan, and then everything comes out of Japan, and then I'm a big anime weeboo, and then obviously it's so interesting when I'm seeing all this Dragon Ball Z stuff and Super Saiyan stuff and anime stuff that you're doing. It's kind of crazy to me how vast anime is.
Thank you. Yeah, I like Android 17, 18 as well. I like 18. 17 is cool, right? His outlook.
17 is great. He is fascinating. And, my understanding is that both 17 and 18 sort of live, and 17 lives in the woods.
After that.
And then, so technically, they sort of have normal, I guess, lives, and they sort of become human. I don't really know fully how it goes.
No, but, 17. They have an anime called Dragon Ball GT, but I didn't really complete it. 17 actually become quite strong, right, in Dragon Ball GT.
Yeah, and then I don't even remember 7. I don't remember GT. GT is a nightmare. It's a nightmare, and it's just it's like I don't understand GT. I don't get GT. I bear like Super's okay to me.
Yeah.
But like I love Dragon Ball and I love Dragon Ball Z. And like Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z is phenomenal. Like GT is bad and Super's okay in my opinion. I know I'm gonna get flash for it. It's all right, everybody. We're all adults in the room here. And even going further into this, because obviously you've also done some other stuff beyond just this. And one of the things is that you've done some UFC stuff and some other comic stuff, and I'm pulling up the images on it. So obviously this is the Conor McGregor, who's arguably one of the greatest fighters ever.
What do you think? What about you?
What?
What about you? What's your opinion?
I mean, I think Conor McGregor is one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. I really think he is, and also he's one of the greatest shit talkers of all time. He's great. He's great, and supposedly I'm waiting for somebody to ask him the question. Say, Conor McGregor, what would you rather fight? One gigantic duck that can be broken up into 20 smaller ducks, or 20 smaller ducks that can form into one gigantic duck? Which one would you rather fight? If I ever get the opportunity at a press conference to ask Conor McGregor, that's the question that I'm going to ask. But what is this like? Because you do a bunch of sports, people, and you've done a bunch of racing, and you've done a bunch of other UFC things. And what is this like to do this? Because UFC is huge at this point, and I enjoy UFC when I watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Conor is the best shit talker in the one of the best
ever.
Yeah.
Best shit talkers ever. I don't know if you saw. There was an award ceremony. He threw a drink on Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah. I think he's on the news yesterday as well, right? I have some stuff with Italian DJ It's like so funny. It's like so cool. But a lot of stupid story, right?
Conor McGregor's the best shit talker ever. But
Yeah, very entertaining.
what is this like to do cool art like this and really capture it and capture those like brush strokes and put up the crown? Because in a lot of ways, I mean, he's one of the richest UFC fighters ever. I mean, he is a monster and he's a beast. And I love watching him fight. I love watching him fight.
It's like actually now I think he's a bit dropped. Okay, why I'm drawing this, because to be honest, I don't want Khabib fans to like kill me, but honestly, after Bruce Lee, right? Do you know Bruce Lee, right? That kung fu guy. After Bruce Lee, I think Conor is the most inspiring athlete, one of the most. I mean, if you talk about fighting sport, martial. So no matter his win or lose, I think his attitude is just like give me a lot of inspiration. Doesn't mean I want to go and fight some 70 years old guy, but for me, he always like have that passion, you know. And even people talk about a lot of things. He's like his logic is very funny, but he's very daring very strict to say what he wants. So I like this kind of personality. Yeah, either you are badass or either you are I like him. So when I'm drawing at that time, I think he's already not a champion, but I just purposely put in the crown, and I think it's fun. And one of the piece that I really my own work, I really like it until now. Usually after I draw, I don't really like it, but this one I think I'm gonna print out and print it. I'm gonna print out and hang on my studio. I told my wife that.
And then since we're talking about Bruce Lee, this is sort of ode to the greats. Where obviously we have Tyson's in there, we got Bruce Lee's in there, we have Conor McGregor, and I don't know who the other two are off the top.
GSP. Yeah, the guy behind is GSP, right? He's do you watch Winter Soldier? I just actually completed last 2 days with Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's a bad guy, the bad guy from French. He's the one. He's actually also one of the god in UFC. So, yeah.
And this is a really cool piece because this is obviously some of the greats, and I think it's hard to contest this image with the idea of saying these are some of the best, fighters and athletes out there ever who have accomplished things beyond what other people have accomplished in an octagon or in a boxing ring or in, martial arts or anything like that. And so what was this like really building out this piece? Because it's also very cool where you got the yellow in the background and then you have them sort of gray toned out and you have the light shining through and it creates a very cool stark image.
Yeah, it's like God, right? The God feeling. God like.
So I mean I love it and it's very cool. Not to mention that obviously you like these guys and obviously you're watching Conor McGregor as we just spoke about and you love Bruce Lee and then all these other guys are just monsters in the ring and it's kind of crazy in a lot of ways. And so I really like this stuff and I like the sports stuff you do because I'm not saying I'm a huge sports fan, but I enjoy sports. I enjoy competition. And I think it's very, very cool when art is done in that realm. Because I don't think enough of it is actually done. And I like the fact that you're, not just a comic artist, but you're able to do stuff like this and really capture that composition.
Oh, thank you.
And then there's a few more things I want to talk about before we really dive into some stuff. And obviously I want to show some of this, which are the cards that you've done for, I think, Burger Illustrations or Burger Collectibles or maybe I'm getting the name wrong.
It's an indie company. I think it's Burger Game, right? Burger Game US. I think it's, correct. A few years ago. It's an indie game company. Yeah.
And then so there's this one, which I don't know what she's doing with her sword. God knows what. I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know what they were thinking. Last time I checked, there are other objects that can achieve the same result. I'm just saying, just saying. And then this image is one of my favorite out of this entire set, where this is just trippy. This thing is just trippy, and this should be a comic cover because it's just that trippy.
Thank you. Yeah. This is one of my favorite. It's like a Harley Quinn in the game, right?
It's very much Harley Quinn goes for demonic. Clearly. And if you agree with me, like this video or give it a heart because I need the appreciation. But this thing is just wicked. So what's the story behind this card in particular? Because this thing is just trippy, as I stated.
I don't really remember. I think it's they are doing some game regarding some ancient myth or goddess, I think. So this is one of the god that I think the character is similar with Loki, but it's female version. I can't really remember. It's something like that. Harley Quinn or Loki, that kind of personality. Yeah.
And it's perfect for Halloween. Like I want to make it my profile pic on Facebook for the next 3 weeks. It'll be perfect, and I'll be like, "What's wrong with you?" It'll be great. It'll be great. But I digress. And so I kind of wanted to show that, and then there's about 5 images I want to show really quickly because I think, and then we're gonna get into the comic side because I know everybody wants to see that. Obviously. There's 5 more images that I want to show that you've done that I think are also some of your best that really show that you don't just do sexy provocative, but you could do some really cool images. And I think they're all part of the same set. And it's these girls holding animals, interacting with animals. So that's one of them. This is another one. I don't know what I like this one a lot. Where I love the pink on it. I love the fact that it's gray tone. I love the fact that obviously we got that popping pink off of it, which is super cool in this one. And then so what's the story behind this before we leave that one? I show the next one.
This is you see my previous stuff is more colorful, right? And for sure for game is colorful, but this period is the period that I decide not to use so much color. So you will see after that even my comics is all very dark and very saturated. This series is actually is it's my own IP. It's like few girl from some is from the future, some is from the current, and they actually what's it called? It's actually animal lover. So they were protecting. That's why you see every picture with them. They have cats or fat cats or dogs, something like that.
So you own this, right? Versus this is not for a company, and that you can make prints out of this. You could make it into an NFT if you would like, and you could make turn into a comic cover and all sorts of stuff. And so this is something that's really cool because I really like these covers. Or not covers, but images. And then this is another one that is very cool as well. And then this is one that's kind of cool too, where I don't know if she has a lollipop, she's smoking a cig, but the cat's sort of hanging off her arm, and obviously we have cat tattoos on her and very animalistic, but it's also very cool where the way she's sitting. And her posture is so interesting. And also it's the idea that, on her neck, I don't know if that's a choker or if it's a tattoo, but it says hope on it. And it's very cool that way, where it's just a very stark image.
That's a name, right? Very, very usual name is called Hope. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's cool. And then this is just a badass photo right here. Where obviously we get the cat on her back, leather jacket. I think it's a cig, right? She's smoking a cig, right?
Yeah, correct. And the words there is actually the meaning is called street cats. The concept of this drawing is like even street cat or street dog, right? The meaning I want to bring to my viewer is like they are also very beautiful. That doesn't mean you need to get a breed or every animal is beautiful, no matter it's straight or straight. This is my concept. Yeah.
So apparently, I think your friend Jordan Nye is watching, and you don't have to do anything if you don't want to. You don't have to sit to him. You can just stick it out right now.
I'm still doing his job, you know. He's gonna kill me now, right?
I figured, you know, hopefully he's not going to kill you or me.
You're gonna kill me.
Apparently, a bunch of people watching in this chat. It's going to be like my highest viewed live interview that I've ever done with minimal promotion. And I haven't even sent this to Zenescope yet to see what they do. So obviously there's a bunch of stuff that's out there in the comics. We didn't even get the comics yet. So obviously bringing up Jordan. What is your relationship to Jordan? Because I know that you were on another podcast when I was doing research, and I saw some of the stuff the two of you were with, and I don't know much about Jordan. Sorry, Jordan. It's okay. You could yell at me later. But it's what is your relationship and working with him? Because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Or since he's not in this broadcast, I'm gonna say something bad about him, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you can say whatever you want. I mean, this is what he said about you. I mean, I'm just saying, you know. And this is, I don't know if you know who Ian Carter is, but he's responding to Jordan. So if Jordan would like to respond back to Ian, be my guest as well. This show is going right downhill. I mean, we're not making it to season 3 in January. We're going to get canceled. But I digress. I digress right there. So, what is the relationship between you and Jordan and I? Because I don't know much about Jordan. No offense, Jordan.
No problem. He's a cool guy, to be honest. He's a Englishman from United States. Sorry, yes, from British. He's like the first few guys who find me for exclusive cover. That's why I appreciate him a lot. And some like Jonathan Hall from High Formation.
So what does Jordan Nye do? Just for those who don't know, because I actually don't know who Jordan Nye is. In all seriousness.
Yeah, he's the shop owner for comic books dealer. They're doing exclusive cover, variant cover every month. Like Department of Truth, Something Killing the Children, stuff like that. Yep. It's a very cool guy.
No. Because I mean, I deal with a bunch of people like Comic Mint, and obviously I deal with Midtown Comics. I know who they are, and I deal with Frankie's Comics, and so that's why I asked, because there's so many pop-up shops, as I like to call them. You know, that everybody's involved, and that legitly, you know, and I'll say this way, you know, 10 years ago, you couldn't make a living as a variant artist on covers. And there's business models, and I'm going to be entering that business eventually as well to some degree, because right now I resell comics, and I'm doing all right with it. As I was stating before, obviously I deal with a lot of Zenescope books, and I'm going to be entering that thing. I got a particular, you know, reward that I'm launching on my Kickstarter that's going to be dealing with it, and it's going to get very interesting. So this is why I asked, because legitimately there's so many people out there who have variants, and then like I discovered, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know this existed, and it's beyond interesting to me. And so I was just super curious about that, because while I think I know everything, I don't. You know, I know a lot of stuff, guys. I don't know everything. But even further, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, it's okay. I think more or less you're right, correct. Now is the variant comics is getting very popular now. Yeah, it's very popular in these few years, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty sad. You mentioned that a few years ago, 10 years ago, it's pretty hard to make a living with it.
As a variant cover artist, because I don't know, I mean, I've had Ebass on, I've had Sun Kumanaki on, I've had Keith Garvey on, and all of those people are making, you know, a living now as variant cover artists doing exclusives. And Ebass even spoke about this, where he was like, you know, it wasn't even an option when I first broke in. That wasn't even a possibility. And it's become a possibility. and it's very interesting. And obviously, you're very much doing that. And so, you know, to get right into it, you know, obviously we can talk about Dynamite, and I think that that's a good place to start. And obviously, I'm going to throw up a cover here. This is the Deja Thorn from I think San Diego. I think this is two of it at Santorum.
Santorum, yeah, cool guy,
and,
Stephanie.
And so, what's the story behind this? Because obviously, I don't love Deja Thornus. I'm probably getting her name wrong, but this cover is a really cool cover.
This is they got me with the first ever comic cover in my path, which is Vampirella. So after that, they want me to draw a Red Sonia and this Digitoris. But
I'm going to show the Vampirella and the Red Sonja as well in a second here, but it's a very cool cover, and this is obviously the Red Sonja. Apparently on ArtStation, this is rated as mature, which I don't get. There's nothing not good about this cover. It's really not that offensive. And then this is the Vampirella that you did, and this is just a wild cover in of itself. And so, what was it like getting to do 3 of the top women in Dynamite on covers, doing exclusives, and really doing these things that sort of, you know, really capture the essence of who these characters are, but don't cross the line and aren't like a Z-rated cover or an X-rated cover, and are sexy, are provocative, you know, have sort of a negative space connotation to them, but also, you know, capture what they are in a lot of ways. Because I mean, this one looks like that the blood is sort of her, I guess, clothes, for lack of a better word. It's sort of how this cover appears, and then it bleeds into the background. And it's a very interesting composition with this cover in particular.
Yep, correct. This is like, for me, it's like, if you ask me what's my feel drawing these few legendary characters, for me it's like I need to do my best because since I was a kid, I was watching all these few characters. It's so famous, and now I have a chance to draw them. For sure, I need to I'm very happy. That's what I can say is I'm so happy when I'm the moment I'm drawing them.
And even to go further, like, how do you even go conceptualize this? Because I am not able to draw at all. I can book a cover. And I'm very good at understanding how to book something. I understand saying, hey, I want A, B, C, D, and E. Throw all those elements in and figure it out and give you an idea of something. Like, I can go book a negative space cover. I could go book a silhouette cover. I could go come up with a crazy wraparound cover idea that hasn't been done yet. But I can't draw it. And so how do you conceptualize, and then, like, when you get input, you know, how does somebody give you input, and then how do you say, okay, I know exactly how to do this and even come up with this? Because this is a negative space, you know, cover to some degree, but it's not negative space at the same time. But, like, I don't know, like, how you would even draw it and make it all flow, because I don't think that way.
I mean, it's like so many cool Vampirella covers out there, right? So, I don't know, it just pops up in my mind. And if you talk about, you want to show the beauty of a face, I think side view is one of the best way to show them. I don't really remember they have a lot of side profile from Vampirella. So this is roughly what I have in mind at the time I'm painting this portrait, this cover.
Yeah, no, and I think it's also very friendly in a lot of ways, where it's very inviting in. And that's the other thing that I really like about this cover, is that it's a very inviting cover in. And also same thing with the Red Sonja, where we have sort of the opposite going on with the Red Sonja, where it's in the similar style, where it's not necessarily negative space, but we got the circle in the back, and then we have our front center, and then we have the white background. And I think these are part of the same set, that you can buy them together at a slight discount at Santorum, and they match in a lot of ways, and they complement each other, especially because this one is facing Red Sonja and she's facing Vampirella. If you put it next to each other, with a Red Sonja on the right and Vampirella on the left, and it's a very just cool, you know, composition in that regard. So very, very cool with that one. And then obviously I think you could buy also the Deja Thornus in the same set for a little bit more money. And I know Santorum's giving you a bit of a discount if you buy all three all at once. I think they're still available. I am not getting a kickback from them. I should, because I could potentially be selling a lot of their books. It's unfortunate, but I digress. We can't win them all. We can't win them all. And then talking about this one too.
Oh, this is for Jordan.
And I think this is We Live, right?
Yeah, correct.
And I know somebody just got their medal of this, I think, today.
Oh, yeah. They just have it, correct.
So I'm gonna find that one and throw it up. Because I know somebody just got their medal. Yes. Charlie Palin just. I'm sure you know these people better than I do.
Yeah, they're very supportive, man. They are like supporting me.
So, what's the story behind this one?
This is actually a concept by Jordan. He said he wanted to do a relief cover. Then I said, okay. I say why don't he said why don't we do some more story in it rather than just some pinup pose, some poster. Then he said it's totally his idea. We live and we die, and I'm designing the composition. Like then I said, he one back cover is like those who pass away. Front cover is the hero, right? So I just make the future the hero become like a god feeling. Just so simple. It's just something very simple. Yeah, correct. It's mostly his concept. It's not mine. I just exclusive it.
And I love it in a lot of ways, and I think it's just a solid cover, and I also like the fact that there's a medal of it, and I think there's also a regular cover of it as well.
Yeah,
because medals are nice in a lot of ways, and also medals hold up better.
Is this a new thing, the medal cover, or since the beginning you have medal cover?
So I think medal. I'm actually not the expert on this. I just came into the medals through the Zenescope, and I came across them because they were in Zen boxes, and I personally don't. I don't care either way. If I'm gonna like a Zen box is $100 with Zenescope, and it's a medal's included in it. But I'm not gonna usually go out of my way to pick up a medal. Even if a medal is $40, at a certain point, money dictates everything. And I don't know how much, because I also resell comics and I buy comics and I speculate on comics, and I don't know how much a medal increases the value of something. Where it's a bit tricky. But I appreciate medals. I think medals are fun. But, it's tricky for me. It's not something that I actively seek out just because I think that there's more gain. And I think that it's easier for me to buy a book for $10 and sell for $20, get a 50% sale position on it, or get 100%, actually, I should say, because doubling my money is 100% versus paying $40 and making $70 on it. And that's how I feel about medals is that, there's just economic reasons why, but I don't have a problem. People want a medal book, I love it. Great for you. It's just another option for me, much like a square bound museum quality paper book. It's just another option.
Agree.
So that's how I view it, and maybe I'm in the minority. Everybody here can disagree with me on that front, and I understand. And then I want to show up another one really quickly because I'm a huge heavy metal fan, and
yeah.
This is just one of those.
This is like I'm lazy to draw the the big bird, so I make it like just his eyes, the eyes over there. But I want to the first few cover I draw for Spectrum Centurium is almost this side view, right? This is what I don't know. I just all draw side view, side profile to show the gesture and the curve. And mostly, yeah.
I like the pinks in this. I really do because it's so saturated. And I mean, I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but most cover artists do their own colors. and I'm assuming you do your own colors on your covers, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so I'm actually super curious on this. Is that how do you figure out the colors? Because your colors are very different than others, and it's very saturated, and it's a very rich pink, and it's a very vibrant pink on this one in particular. And we're going to dive into some Zenescope books in a second, and it's very similar, the color palette, where it's very saturated and it's a very vibrant, color, versus the idea of something else where sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with this, but other artists don't go as, I feel, vibrant and as bold as you do with your covers and your colors, especially your background colors.
Yeah, because it's like I if you realize I didn't really paint the skin color. The skin color is more or less, it's like very low saturation, right? It's very grayish. Yeah, but when the background color is very rich, actually it's create a very balance. It's equal to you paint everything in the full color with very accurate color logic. For me, it's like this is like back to the few painting you showed just now, the cat one, the black and white. I explore this style since that period.
This one?
Yeah, correct.
I love this one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's the logic is just so simple. It's like you make the skin tone grayish, you make the background pops up, and when it comes in thumbnail, right? Because you need to consider for the shop or let's say those publisher when they have a lot of cover come up in a month, this background pops up. This is what my job should do, right? As a cover artist.
Yeah, just because it pops off, and it's very cool how it pops off. And I mean, personally, in my opinion, I know how the creature is behind her. I personally don't even care or notice much of the creature behind her because I'm saying to myself, it would have been awesome, and I'm fine either way, and I'm not criticizing. But to me, the real drive of this cover is not the creature behind her, but it's the vibrant colors behind her, and that I don't really know what's going on in this cover beyond just the fact that she's standing up tall and up top. And I think it's super interesting just that way. And I'm not going to tell an artist how to do their job, but for me, what caught my eye is just that pink and also coming off of her, and also the paint splatters sort of touch on her, which is very cool as well, which I think is nice because I like the fact that this cover isn't perfect. If that makes any sense, I think.
Yeah, totally.
I think, and this is just how I feel. I think too many artists try to do things perfectly, and I think almost having like a paint splatter position a little bit kind of creates okay, this is a comic, and it's not done poorly, but it's also done in a way that really, makes it say, okay, this is what art should be in. There could be good errors in a book.
Yeah, correct. I actually agree with you.
And now,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
It's actually, if you look at art history, right? Sometimes you have impressionism, sometimes you have surrealism, realistic, baroque, right? In the Western art history. So in my opinion, it's like if you look at my art, it's not very super detailed, but as long as the logic is detailed in the sense of logic. Let's say the gesture or the pose, then I think the job is already done. I don't know you get what I mean or not, because I don't really draw something. Yeah, I don't really draw the whole bird or the monster or a lot of people. If it's necessary, if DC asks me to do or Zenescope asks me to do, I would do it. But if for like special variant cover, I want it to. It's something variable, right? I want it to be different. It's not different doesn't mean to draw a lot of details, but it should be really different than that. Meaning the composition, the style. This is what I'm looking for variant covers.
And you say your work isn't detailed, but I'm going to challenge you on that one because I think some parts of it are, and I think with Zenescope, you've had some stuff that's been detailed, and I think this is something that obviously is well done with Zenescope, and this is
The first one.
and this is your first one, right?
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Dave.
how'd you get into Zenescope? Who booked the cover? Who cracked the whip down on you? Did Dave Franchini use his yelling voice?
No, the story is like this. So when I was just I decided to do comics, right? So I was actually in my Instagram, I messaged Zenescope. Then Ref is the one who respond my message. He said, actually, I think your art is okay. You submit to this certain email, and you need to mention he said you need to mention that Raf is okay with is fine with your works. He want me to highlight this sentence. So after that, Dave and a few guys is take over to brief me the cover. Yeah, it starts from Instagram. At the time, I don't have any cover.
What was it like coming in to Zenescope? Because obviously, this also, I think, was Jay Sandlin's, I want to say, his first book that he wrote.
Yeah, he's very friendly, right? Always support my posts.
Real interesting. This is an interesting book because obviously it's dealing with Karas. It's obviously, Grim Quarterly, H.H. Holmes. It's a lot of firsts for a lot of people that worked on this book. And what was it like even coming into Zenescope? Because I'm sure that you were aware that Zenescope has a very interesting history. And, I'm saying it with, obviously Ralph's been on a bunch of times. Dave Franchini's been on. Raven Gregory's been on. And then a bunch of other people who work for Zenescope have been on. Chuck Dixon's been on, and a variety of other people. And so Sun Kumanaki, Ebas, Keith Garvey. That was Keith Garvey's first interview. And so one of the things that obviously they're known for good girl art. They're known for their Z-rated covers. They're known for really having a female-centric character lead, but also for being technically the bad, and good girl art. And they're one of the sort of mainstream companies that kick that off. So what was that like for you coming into this, knowing that, hey, they had a particular reputation that is this bad girl / good girl type art?
For me, I think if you talk about if in my career, right, if I had to draw cool girls and very very hot girls, I think Zenescope is the best publisher I can work with. They have the best.
And also, even to go further, and sorry to interrupt, but it's the idea that when you come into Zenescope, you can go do stuff like that. If you're working, and then we're going to talk about DC in a minute here, it's a little bit different with DC Comics, where you don't have as much agency, I think, that you have with Zenescope. I could be wrong, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption of saying, hey, with, Zenescope, you can draw big busted women.
It's correct. Different direction.
Like this. I mean, I'm gonna say it is that you could tell, and I'm not too sure who. This might be Karas. I'm not sure, but she's got some big boobs on her. She's got a nice ass. She's in a corset. She's on a chair. Obviously, it's got definitely a burlesque feel to it. And you can't necessarily do that with a Marvel or a DC mainstream book the same way. It's much harder to do it. And so what was this like? Because on your Instagram, you have this broken into 9 images too, which is cool.
For me, it's like I do my best for Zenescope since it's the first publisher to accept my submission. And even though I'm now working with DC, it's like, for me, it's like totally different. If I had to draw like very cool superhero things, DC is DC or Marvel is those guys. For Zenescope, let's say the previous that those picture you showed just now, like 7 years ago, 9 years ago. This is those my pin-up girl or those kind of style, I totally can put in Zenescope.
Like this is very much pre-Zenescope coming in.
Correct. If you look at my path, it's like superhero and hot girl. It's like, so now we have hot girl.
I'll one up it with something like that. Something like this is much closer to the image I just showed before with, Iron Spider or whatever that character is. And this is very much a negative space position. I think this is Grim 51, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then I think Grim 51 is out. I'm pretty sure Grim 51 is out at this point.
Yeah, it's out.
Or it's out, or it's coming out in the next week or so. And then even going further, because this is sort of negative space, but even going further, and I know this book's out, because this book is The Invisible Woman, and it's Van Helsing, and this is very much negative space as well. And obviously, this is just trippy. This is a trippy cover because it's sort of fitting because it's Van Helsing, The Invisible Woman.
Yeah, correct.
How did you draw something like this? Did you draw Van Helsing and then do you write out where everything should be? Or do you just position our hands? Because this is kind of weird and trippy. And I know J. Scott Campbell does a bunch of negative space covers. I know that John Tyler something or JCT, I forget his name, does negative covers, and a few other people have done negative covers, but this is in that vein in a lot of ways. So how'd you go about this?
I think you already answered the question, right? It's like Van Helsing, the Invisible Woman. So I just pops up in mind. It's like negative space. If you look at the Vampirella cover, it's actually also the same story. I don't want to make it like too complicated, so just make it negative. And
this is the name I'm looking for. Thank you. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it. The name was slipping my mind. I wasn't going to get it, which I think everybody knew who I was talking about. I was not going to get it. And name was slipping my mind. Guy does a bunch of action figures. I appreciate it because making sure, just making sure. It's always good to fact check me, everybody. So please continue to fact check me. I appreciate it. And I don't mean to be like I'm not being sarcastic or condescending. I actually really appreciate it because I miss certain things, and sometimes I get things wrong, and I would prefer to be corrected than not. But anyway, continue. Sorry. And then obviously I want to talk about this one too because Dave Franchini sort of might have got you your job, so we should pay some love to him. This is sort of a negative space also, but this one is super cool. And what I like about this as well is, did you know what is it? Tim Sales and who did like Captain America White, Daredevil, blue, or Daredevil yellow, like Gray Hulk, all those books. It is the color books for Marvel. Whoever has that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. It's I think Joe Lebs and Tim Sales might have done those books, and this one is obviously red. This one is yellow. This one is white. So what's the story behind, getting to work on this one? Because it's very much similar to what you've done prior, and this is sort of the third one in the set.
Because his costume is blue, so the complementary color will be yellow or orange. Yeah, it's just so simple.
And to even go further into that, because at this point now with these books, and you've almost developed colors, and you're almost building out a set. Because if you put this book next to this book right here, I mean, clearly this is something that is now becoming very much a set, and it's becoming very much color coordinated. And whether that was Zenescope's intention or not, or whether they're going to claim credit for it afterwards, which is fine, it does make it very cool when you're collecting. And obviously, Zenescope fans are very different than other comic fans, I feel, where there's a lot of loyalty to Zenescope
Yeah.
in it. And there's also a lot of, people at Zenescope will pick up all 4 covers. And they will bite at them, and people spend a lot of money. I mean, I think you've been part of a Zenescope live stream, right?
Yeah.
You're part of their VIP,
right? Yeah.
right?
I think a few months ago, right? Correct.
So, and I'm sure that you've probably looked at it, but you've seen, and I participate in a bunch of them, and obviously I'm a buyer, and I know people who spend like $300-400 every single virtual live stream they do, and I used to spend like $200. Obviously money's a bit tight right now, and I'm pulling back a little bit, but it's the idea that people spend a lot of money with them, and it's kind of crazy. And did you just participate also in their big Zenibox advent calendar?
I'm not so sure, man.
Did you do a bunch of commission sketches for Zenescope at one point?
No, just cover C so far. Yeah.
So you haven't done anything on a blank cover for Zenescope yet, right?
No.
Unless it's coming in Christmas, unless it's coming for Christmas, you can't talk about it. You can't talk about it unless it's coming.
No.
I'm sure Ralph or Joe or Dave will send me a cease and desist, and we'll be smiling. It could be coming. I don't know either way.
Will be cool, right? Yep.
I was right about the Dawn Matique thing before, and that was, I think, like last June. So I could be right again. I'm just saying it could be coming, but I digress, because that's that. And then also this cover's always good right there with Robin Hood.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite.
I like the background, and I love the different blues, yellows, greens. I love the city in the back, and I just love the entire composition with it. I also like her ass in this photo. I'm not gonna lie. I'm ruining my career in government. I'm ruining my career in government. Knowing me, I'll be president, and I'll be a Supreme Court justice. Knowing my life. And this is what's going to be brought up at my Senate confirmation hearing. This is the interview that's going to be brought up. It's going to be great. This scene right here. But what is this like to draw Robin Hood? Because Robin Hood is, I think, one of their most popular characters.
Yeah. I think I told Dave as well. I said, oh, this is one of the characters I was waiting for. So I was trying something new with more graphic background and some storytelling, very simple things behind. I don't really want to do a negative space for this. I don't remember I submit a sketch for negative space. I think no, it's all with this kind of background stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I don't think a negative space for Robin would go well.
Yeah.
Well, I think with Van Helsing, I think with like Selma, and I even think with Alice and a few others, and even Hellchild, it works. But I don't think it works well with Robin. And again, I'm not booking covers. I'm not here to say that I want to book covers for Zenescope. Now, if they allowed me to book covers, oh, great.
Yeah.
Like $300 covers, just like that. I'd also then run their eBay store, and I'd triple the revenue, but that's not the point. I really like this because I also like the fact that she looks like a badass. I like the fact that her skin is more gray toned, and I think that it creates more of a dystopia feel to her in a green background, and it's very cool. It's very eye catching. It makes me want to go buy this cover. And this cover is not that hard to find. I think it's still available because it's a regular cover. If it's even out, I don't even know if what is this, Hellfire? I think.
This one so they announced 3 cover in last month. I think it's one of it.
So this is Robin Hood Hellfire 1. Is the name of it. So that's that, and then
Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure that's out there. And then there's a few more that I want to just throw out there right here. This one, which is crazy. It's another one There's this one that's just wild. I don't think this one's out yet. I don't know if I'm allowed to show this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then there's this one too. And this one is the one I really want to talk about because this is different than the others. Where this doesn't look, this looks like it's Copic markered out.
Yeah. Actually, you a lot of points is accurate for your perspective for my artwork. I don't really need to explain much.
So because Zenescope, for those who are interested, is that they are introducing other art style now into it, and they have a book that is done digitally that looks like it's Copic markered out, and it was part of that Advent Halloween box was a possibility to get it. And so, what is this like for you to get to really play into this Copic marker digital entity style? Because that's what this is in a lot of ways, and it's kind of a very interesting, cover, and it also looks intentionally messy as well, which is a nice touch to it, especially in her armor, where it looks like the armor isn't perfect the way that I don't want to say it's been in battle, but it's clearly seen wear her armor, and I think this is Hellchild. I want to say it's Hellchild, or it's This has to be Hellchild, right?
Yeah, correct.
So what's the story behind even the development of this? Because it's very different than the others.
This is like
it's not like the other girls. It's very different.
Yeah, because she have a big wings behind, right? So I was like, damn, how I'm going to place a wing with a pair of wings with a very, very nice composition. It's pretty headed. So I was like, okay, we just ignore the wings and just show her ass and boobs. I think it's just so simple. The wings is just become a decoration behind. Rather than I remember I sketched some version is with some wings. I think it looks really good in the composition. It's just so simple.
My political career is going to end before it even started after this interview. Clearly. We have to go set up a GoFundMe now for me. Watch this. I'm going to win a Senate race in like 2 years off of this interview. Just watch. It's going to be a political endorsement. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. It's perfect. So I'm gonna stop with Zenescope before I become president. Before the United States, because the route we're going, I'm going to become president in the United States. No question about it. But I do want to talk about some other stuff that obviously you've done in comics that I think a lot of people know you for, and a bunch of stuff. And it's this little book right here. This book is a little special little thing, and we like to talk about the truth here on my show. No pun intended. This is Department of Truth. That book has been going like crazy, where it's a great book, and I know this cover is sold out. So what's the story behind this cover, and what does it mean for you when your book gets sold out?
For me, it's like, of course, I'm very happy. It's sold out, meaning my effort is been recognized, and and appreciate those who support the cover. Maybe they don't really know it's drawn by me, because sometimes you just grab a cover and it's nice, but I'm very happy for that, as long as it's sold out. But this is like negative and positive a little bit. Play around with some typography and contrast, something like that, and the American flag. Yeah.
And even to go further, because obviously this was an exclusive, and is this the Jordan 9 exclusive that he booked, or is this
No, this is for Spectrum Centaurium. The first
that's for Centaurium. I just want to make sure. Yeah. So even going further into that, when a book like this sells out, obviously, I think everybody's happy if you're the artist, because that means that, well, people want it and people find value in your art. And from the business side of things, I think it's important. but also knowing that the company that hired you made money, you made money on the book. Obviously, that also must be reassuring to you, because if they're making money with your books and they know you're a hot artist and they know that you're going to sell out, they're going to throw you work, in a lot of ways, and that it's important that the business is healthy and that they're making their money. And I know it sounds crazy when we're talking about money here, but I think it's very important that people understand that this is a business. That
I agree with that. Yeah.
I pay you X, and printing is Y. The business needs to make X plus Y plus whatever credit card fee I take, which is 3%, plus one of that final number, in order for it to make any sense. I think that's, and so from your perspective, when you know it's sold out and you know that the company made money, I mean that's reassuring in a lot of ways, because I get nervous when I'm booking something and anything that like with my sponsorship. I know my sponsorship, hopefully they made money, but I find it very reassuring if they did make money, that okay, this makes sense for them, makes sense for me. Everybody's making money here. So
here's a story. So lately I'm doing a few exclusive for DC and a few Deathstroke cover from DC. So some were asking me what
this.
Yeah, no. After this, we should have this like this few months. So some was asking me why you're doing Deathstroke cover C. So they were asking us like, why are you doing indie? This is something related to what you have mentioned just now. So like, for me, it's as long as you trusted me, you give me the job, then I will do my best. I don't care it's like indie or big brand. It's something I agree with your opinion just now, right? As long as they find me because they want to make sure their cover they have a good cover, right? So I do my best, and if we show up, I will be very happy for them. If not, didn't show up, I will also feel pretty sad.
So let's talk about the DC stuff, because obviously doing stuff for Boom Studios, doing stuff for Image is great, and no shade at any of those companies, but I think it's safe to say that Marvel and DC, doing covers and variants, and even for Zenescope, nothing against, but sort of the dream is saying I did a DC Comics cover, I did a Marvel cover. I think it's very much a standard. I think it's safe to say that DC Comics and Marvel are the top echelons of comics right now. No matter, though the indies are great, and even though Zenescope's great and Boom Studios is great, I think it's hard to say, well, if I can do a Batman cover, it's kind of the dream, or I get to do a Captain America cover, I get to do an Iron Man or Spider-Man cover. I think very few things can compete with having that on your resume, and also just the privilege of doing a cool cover. And
100%.
And nothing against, I love Zenescope covers. I think some Zenescope covers beat the shit out of DC covers, by definition. Same thing with a bunch of other stuff you did. But it's the idea that you did get to work on DC with Comic Min. And Comic Min, I think, is in Stamford, Connecticut. I live in Bethel. It's kind of cool. I shot them an email. I was hoping that maybe they were going to be watching and tweeting this out. I'm probably going to shoot this to them again because it benefits them extensively. But what is the story of them reaching out to you, you getting to do a DC cover, and then we're going to talk about the DC cover that you got to do, and a bunch of them, because one of them is a big political statement in a lot of ways.
It's like, I think the first DC cover is exclusive for Comic Min and Set Lemon. So they reached out for me for a Batman Harley Quinn cover, as a variant cover. So after that, they reached out for me again with that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy cover. So at that time, I'm starting to get in touch with some DC editors. And in the meantime, one of the editors will ask me, is like, so do you want to do one more covers? I say, oh, it's another variant or what? He said, no, it's for Deathstroke. I said, oh, for sure. This is like my favorite. DC is my top favorite comic company. I said, for sure, I'm so happy. I'm so fucking happy.
So,
Even
so,
the,
so let's talk about the first cover. I think this is the first one you got to do.
yeah, so Comic Man and
So-
Sad Lemon.
Obviously, Batman Fear State Alpha is super interesting. So Comic Man has gone hard with this. They've worked with Art Gem. They work with a lot of people. I just picked up the Poison Ivy covers. And obviously, what was this like getting to do Batman Fear State Alpha? There's a lot of push for it. There's a lot of covers that are being done with it. DC is pushing it hard, and getting to work on this. What was this like? Because you're not just drawing Batman. You're drawing Batman, Harley Quinn. It's a
Yeah.
big. It's also for, I think, James Tylon, sort of his last run to some degree on Batman. On top of that, and he's coming off of a bunch of big books that are doing really well, and also just getting to work on a DC book that's not mass produced is kind of a cool thing too. So what is all that like for you to really get to work on this? Because not everybody gets to do this in comics.
Yeah, first variant for DC is like Batman and Harley Quinn. Is like, I'm so happy. So I'm like, I tell my wife, I say, I'm gonna buy you a gift, a diamond ring or shit like that. yeah, it's true. I say, I'm so happy, so I gotta buy you something. So yeah, it's Harley Quinn and Batman. So for sure, it's very happy. And I want to draw this Harley Quinn is like, because it's Fear States, right? With Scarecrow, I want to draw it like, a classical painting. It's called a Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. This is what I want to show in this cover.
And then to even go further into this, because obviously you get to do some more stuff, and this is a very similar cover where this is the Virgin. It's also just to show the contrast. Obviously, you have it sort of like that, and you sort of see the mask a little bit in it with sort of the background, but then you really see it in the blacked out version of it, where it's a very similar image, but you see the eyes and obviously all that stuff. And what was this like really darkening everything? Because this is much more heightened in a lot of ways, and the contrast and the image is almost easier to see in the version of this book and the darker version of this book, and even changing that out. And also, I would imagine that I think this was all done digitally, so you didn't have to redraw the entire thing.
I know, it's digital. So this one is like a more dark version, because the previous one is like, I want to always in my art I always combine some fine art and classical painting inside. But I also play around with one which is like it's more, the Gotham City feel, the whole city, and it's controlled by this chaos, something like that. So I try out with another version and submit together. Yeah, which one is your favorite?
Honestly, I don't. I think the Virgin is better. But these books are not my cup of tea, as per se. It just doesn't do it for me. Your state, in these covers, but this one does, and this is the one that I really like. And this is because obviously Harley Quinn, the Eat Jane Kill Tour is phenomenal. I love the fact that what's going on with this, and also talking about them sort of making out. And I'm not gonna lie, let Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy get it on. It's. I think it's fantastic. I love the fact that I'm like, oh snap! Like we haven't seen this before. We have,
It's very fresh.
It obviously the animated series, because this is coming straight out of the animated series. This entire book is beyond interesting, and I'm like, this is cool, and let them rumble. And what was this like drawing this? Because it is a very political statement in a lot of ways. It's also changing of the guard in DC, I feel, and this came out before, obviously, Robin. Robin came out as bisexual. I think this came out, and Superman came out as bisexual, or Superboy, or the son of Superman.
Yeah. That's sweet.
Not to get too political here, but obviously there is a change in DC and a bunch of other stuff. So what was this like? Somebody doesn't want us to talk about this.
For me, it's fine. For me, it's fine. It's like for me, it's fine. It's like
No. As I was saying, though, I was joking around with all the noise going on and saying somebody clearly wants us to stop. But anyway, what was this like? Because obviously there is a big change going on of pushing the line, and there's a big, not to get you or me in too much trouble. But I think it's safe to say that there is a shift on how characters can evolve and how ideas are evolving and how these companies are really pushing and saying, hey, we gotta allow characters to grow in an ever-changing world.
so for me, it's like so opinion. I think it's like if DC they want to work out this way, if it is okay with it, some people is okay with it, some people is not okay with it. I think for me it should be like this because it's not everyone will be have same opinion, right? But if it reach out for me, I have I don't really have a problem with this kind of topic, and it's like I just do my job. Yeah.
But even still, because the reason why is that obviously I know your name, but when I saw this car, I'm like, oh, I gotta buy this. It wasn't even hesitation, because I'm like, this is the cover for it because it's obviously Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy sort of kissing, and it's a fun cover in a lot of ways. But I'm like, oh man, it's also really sexual in a lot of ways, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is not normal DC cover. I understand it's Comic Mint is doing it. I also understand there's only 1,000 of them. And so it fits a lot of boxes because I'm a comic book investor. So I'm like, hey, what's the resale value of this going to be? If this book does really well, which I think it's going to do, I think this comic is going to slay dragons in reality. I think it already has. I think some of the variant work is phenomenal on it. I'm super stoked. It's a mini series in reality, but I'm like, it checks a lot of boxes, and I'm like, they're also pushing the line where they're not going into Zenescope territory, but they might have moved 10 points into that territory, and they haven't done that before. And I'm like, this is a real change in how they're doing things. And also it's sort of saying, look, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's relationship has been somewhat public, but we now know what Eat, Bang, Kill Tour actually means. Like, I hate to say it, there's something else that when you say that Eat, Bang, Kill Tour, there is nothing in there that you know exactly what it is, and this cover just solidifies that. And I love it. I think it's great. Personally, I think it's a great cover, and
I agree with that. Thank you.
But I also understand that this series is not for everybody, and there are people who are not a fan of it, and that's cool. That's up to you guys.
Yeah. The comment is like some like it, some don't like it.
There's a million comics out there, and if you don't like what's going on with these two characters, don't buy it. Now, I will say this: I do think this is there's the Shannon Mares is a good one too. Like there's like 3 or 4 that I'm not a fan of that are variants in this series. The Shannon Mare I really like as well. Because I think it's done really, really nicely. I also think that the fact that there's 1,000 of these and I have one of them, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's great. But I digress right there. And then the final book I want to talk about is this because I'm a huge Teen Titans fan. I have a DC Presents number 26, which is a really cool book, 80s old school Teen Titans. I am 28 before anybody asks. I went back old school. Like I've got old school Teen Titans. I like Teen Titans West too. And in fact, that's what I want to do with DC. If I ever get the chance to write for DC, I am going to request we bring back Teen Titans West. Having said that, what is it like for you to work on Deathstroke and Deathstroke Inc. and all of that that's going on? Because this is a very cool comic, and people like Deathstroke in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm so happy. So fucking happy.
I think that says it all.
we actually submitted the third one last week to the editors. Yeah.
What happened?
I mean, last week we submitted the third cover for Deathstroke Inc. Yeah, they just announced the second one this last few days.
You're doing the fifth cover as well, or issue 5.
Issue 5. Yeah, issue 5 and 6, and I think 7 will be also. The editor is coming with some concept for I think it's 6 or 7. Yeah, this book for sure is so happy.
and obviously, I'm going to stop right there with covers, but I do want to touch upon 2-3 more things before I let you go. And obviously, one of the things that I'm actually super curious about, because we've been sort of speaking about and beating around the bush about it a little bit, is, and I've asked Keith Garvey this, I've asked Ebas, I've asked Sun Kumanaki, I've asked Dave Franchini this question, and every cover artist that I ask, and it's what makes a good cover, and what makes a good cover versus a bad cover, and what is the purpose of a cover in a comic, because I think that there's a big discussion going on. And obviously I come from mainstream, and I also come from, indie in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of stuff going on with covers as of lately, and Kickstarter's oversaturated sometimes with, covers. Not my friend Isaac Fox has, Suck You Busted on right now. He has a lot of covers, and I love covers, but I also think that there gets a point where there are too many in a Kickstarter. I think there gets a point where there are too many for a particular comic, and I'm curious all your thoughts about that.
You mean for generally, or I can share that opinion with?
So I'll break it down. What makes a good cover in your opinion, and versus a bad cover? We'll start small.
Good cover. You need to. For me, the cover artist's job is it's like a movie teaser or a movie poster, right? They have a lot of penciler, colorists, the writer, the creators to form this issue. For my job is to make sure the cover is okay.
And then to even go further into that, what is the purpose of a cover? Especially when we dive into variants and other things. What is the purpose of a cover? Because that's something that, I'll tell you how I feel. I feel that a cover, depending on what it's supposed to do, is that it's either supposed to be a really cool piece of art, and it's supposed to showcase something, or it's supposed to maybe be sold at $30 when the regular book sells for $5, and it's supposed to make up losses for other books not selling, or it's supposed to just showcase a character, like the Harley Quinn, kissing, Poison Ivy cover. That to me is not for story. That to me is to show their relationship evolving, or be racy, or showcase just a different art style and a comic shop says, hey, I want to do this, and it sort of makes sense a little bit in the story, but we want to be a little racy. So I'm curious what you view as the purpose of a cover, or multiple covers, because you've done work obviously for Comic Man and then Zenescope, and Zenescope has cover C's that you do, and a cover C and a cover A have different points, I feel.
Yeah, correct. Cover A is to bring out the story, and cover C is like to do something like slightly different, as you mentioned it now. Let's say Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy is like to show the characters itself. But I don't really do cover A at the moment. So for cover A, it's totally need to tell the story. But if even I'm doing cover C, I for my opinion, I need to really try to show the characters as personality as much as I can. Even my style is more, the color palette is more different, but I need to always think about I mean, for me, it's like I don't want the creator or the writer or the pencil artist to like, hey, what is wrong with your cover? I don't hope they don't like my cover, because I hope my cover is also okay with them, and for sure okay with is okay for the buyers as well. This is my opinion. You get what I mean? Can you? Is it, bro? I mean, too confusing or what?
No. You're fine. You're you're fine. You're fine. It's all good. It's all good. As long as you don't hate Isaac Fox, because you work with Isaac, right? You know who Isaac Fox is, right? He was just on before you. He's doing Suck You Busted, and it's going to be an exciting book. It's going to be a really exciting book. I'm actually stoked for it. I actually need to back it, which is not going to be whatever. I mean, it's a $20 back. It's not bad. And then even going further into this, because obviously I come from Kickstarter, and I'll use Isaac as a good example. He's in a mine. He has a lot of covers, and obviously, so does, Tom Hutchinson, so does Jim Noble, and a bunch of other people. And I'm curious how you feel about this, where even DC and Marvel have a bunch of covers. I mean, Batman, Fear State Alpha, I think there's like 90 covers for that book, which is a lot. I mean, it's a lot. I think I have like 3. The point that I'm trying to make is that at a certain point, and I'm curious as a cover artist, where do you feel that a comic should stop with covers? Where do you think that thing should sort of, I guess, tamper out? And because I feel like certain times companies oversaturate a particular book, and I'm a comic book investor, and I buy and sell books, and I speculate on books. And there is an issue, I feel, at a certain point where it's just like, okay, we've oversaturated a comic. When Zenescope does a book and they have 5 covers for a book, I feel that, they have an A, B, C, D, and then they have 3. They don't even have, they don't even have, they'll have like 9 covers for a book. So where do you feel that covers are going and comics are going as far as covers go?
For me, it's like, yeah, it's true. They have a lot of covers in a month. I mean, it's like, you just choose what you want, then I think it's okay. It's like, do you know, in like toy industry, right? I collect a lot of figure, the 12 skill figure. It's like 1 month they have a lot of figure coming out. I mean, for me, I collect licensed figure. I mean, the figure collectible. So it's like, it's too much, too many, and it's very expensive. And it's happened in comic as well. It's like, I just collect what I want. That's it. I have fun, that's it. Some people will collect everything, right? As long as you have fun, why not?
No. It makes sense. I just feel that at a certain point, there's too many in which that, like, when you have 90 covers of Batman, what is DC? Maybe you got to cut it back to 30. I'm just saying that politely, maybe 90 is too much. I'm just saying that there's only so much you can do with a comic cover before it goes too far. I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say. I am well aware that I like artists getting paid. I like the fact that there's like 40 artists who had got to do covers. That's great. But there's also a position where if you only have 7 covers and there's only a maximum of 2,100 of those 7 covers out there, as an investor and as somebody who specs on this, I'm protected. And that's what I think is a big problem, is that if you oversaturate a market, you're going to create a downward collapse of the economic side of things, and that it's not going to become a viable, healthy environment as far as retaining value. Because when I'm buying your book with Comic Mint, I'm expecting that book to maintain value, if not exceed value. And I think that's something that people have to understand when I'm buying a variant for $30. I expect retention and growth with it. When I'm buying a $30 Zenescope book or a $20 Zenescope book, I'm expecting retention of value and growth with it. I'm not expecting any more for just, oh, it's good, I got my $20 book, burns on fire, no worries. That's not what I'm expecting anymore. And same thing with metals and a variety of other things, is that, I'm expecting a growth trajectory. And I think a lot of, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like cover artists don't understand that. And I think people who do understand that, and there's certain artists who do, are like, I get it. And that's why I'm limiting it to 150, or I'm limiting it to 100, because there has to be protections in place. But that's how I feel, and I could be wrong, and you could disagree with me. More than welcome to.
I collect some. Actually, I collect some covers as well, but not that much. Every month, like 10 or 20 books, but mostly it's like DC and Marvel and a little bit of indie.
I'm a big, so I enjoy the Zenescope stuff. I enjoy a variety of stuff, and then I'm now getting into things like Titan Comics. I'm stoked for gun hunting, and I know you have a gun hunting book, and that's going to be a fun one. Gun hunting is going to be a good one. It's this one for those who are interested. I'm super stoked for that book. But I digress on that. So having said all that, I am curious where you think, cons are going, and even COVID is going, and where comics are going, because I'm in the United States and we just had New York Comic Con. But the way I view it, and I'll say it this way, is that I'm part of the great digitalization pivot, or the great digital pivot, which means that I'm not so keen on digital comics per se, where comics are. I think comics are always going to be printed. I think it's more that I want a bigger online presence, and that I am building out a big online digital footprint for who I am, for my business. Obviously, last year I did 90 interviews. This year I'm going to be hitting 180, 185. And so I am way more on social media, and I have issues with people in the comic world because we have a difference of opinion, where I don't know if I'm ever going to do a con again, because I could sell to the entire world from my living room, versus going tabling at a convention. And so I don't foresee the future being what it was in 2019. I foresee it being what it was in 2020, 2021, and I want to put that on steroids. And I want to run that like a high-speed rail. And that's my entire business model, is that I am a digital entity, and I'm part of this shift in how to sell, not print comics, print materials, things like that. If I ever get into that game of printing comics, I'm fine with that. I just want to ship it to your house. I don't want to have you pick it up at a con for me. And I'm curious how you feel about that, because I could ship anywhere in the world. I mean, I legitimately, you're in Malaysia, I'm in the United States, in Connecticut. This wouldn't have happened 22 months ago.
Yep. This is like, I agree with you. But if for con, right, they can meet. For me, if I go to con, I'm gonna meet my favorite artists as well. So I think for business part, I can agree with you. It's like, it's your way is, I agree with you. But for con, I think there's another side that is that they can maybe they can meet someone they want. I mean, face to face. One of the fun part, in my opinion.
I'm not saying that there aren't sacrifices being made. I get that component of it. For me, at this stage, from a business position, having a massive online presence is the most important thing possible. Having 10,000 people liking my Facebook page and checking out what I'm doing and understanding where I'm at, and then if a bunch of them tune in, then I could sell them a product. To me, it makes sense, having big email lists. And so that's my next goal for the next year, is to triple my online presence, because I'm understanding what the future looks like. That doesn't mean that I won't go to a convention, but the convention is going to be 3% of my business, not 97% of my business. And I get into arguments, not arguments, disagreements on business plans with people because I talk about this and I'm like, you need to reverse engineer your position. You're like, I can't sell online. I'm like, then you're not trying hard enough. And that's how I feel, is that I think more people need to know how to sell online, build better copy, and do a lot of stuff that way.
Yeah, I think they are quite a few shops is like they start online, right, for written covers recently.
So I mean, that's how I feel, and I understand I'm in the minority in a lot of ways. And people they don't hate me, but there's a disagreement on a lot of stuff, and they think their business position works, and I think mine works, and we're gonna find out in the next few years who's right, who's wrong. And I get it. None of this is easy. I'm not going to pretend that if you've been going to cons for 10 years, selling your books and doing really well at cons, and then now there's a shift that, you have to just swivel like that. I understand that, and I'm beyond sensitive to that. But I just see where the tide's going and where we're going to be in 10 years. I think, in 10 years, because I'm going to be in the game for another 10 years minimum, we're going to be looking back at this moment and we're going to be like, yeah, maybe Andrew was right. I'm just saying, maybe President Davis was right. See, what's funny about that is that if I'm wrong, it's a joke. If I'm right, then this is so on point of me predicting my future.
I mean, even if wrong is okay, if right is a good thing. It's not 100% guarantee, right? I don't think they should laugh at you or stuff like that.
So if I'm wrong, I'm just going to play it off as a joke. And if I'm right, you guys, what did I say? Nobody believe me. Nobody's laughing now. But anyhow, I digress. And we've been speaking for over an hour and a half. And I don't want to keep you. I don't want to keep my parents who are tolerating me in their house either from eating their lunch. Or my dog who was being a trooper in this circumstance. But I do want to give you the opportunity to self-promote because I know you had a bunch of stuff going on. I didn't get to speak about 90% of what I wanted to talk about because there's so much to talk about. But where can people find you? Obviously, where can people find you on the internet? Where can people check out? I don't know if you have a website. I know you have an Instagram, Twitter, Facebook pages, ArtStation. And how can people get in touch with you? So, because I don't know if you're taking work or not, but, obviously I want you to, have work and get paid and do a lot of comic stuff and all that fun stuff. So promote yourself.
Okay, Instagram is like Ivan Tao. I think you can search it. And Facebook is like, it's called, damn, I forgot the name already. I think it's called Ivan Tao Art, something like that. Then I don't have a website yet. I usually active in Instagram and Facebook page at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to make it crystal clear that obviously one of the things that's super important right now is that you have to support content creators, whether they're indie or mainstream. And one of the ways to go do that is follow them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, follow their Twitters, follow their ArtStations. Because if you type in Ivan Tao on ArtStation, it's going to pop up. And then obviously a bunch of stuff from there is going to link you back to Facebook and Instagram. And it goes a long way. I mean, it goes a long way where, supporting somebody and checking out and following them on social media and sharing what they do, because you don't know who's looking at what. I'm friends with a bunch of people in the indie comic community that always need cover artists. And if I post something up, somebody might be like, oh, I didn't even know this artist, could happen. I get messages all the time saying, hey, how do you know this person? Can you help me out? I'm looking for a cover artist. It happens all the time. And then I say, hey, I'm close with somebody. I'm not close with the other. There are people who ask me for recommendations all the time from certain companies, and then certain individuals do it all the time. And obviously, if I like a particular artist, if I know that artist well enough, if I am familiar with their artwork, or if they were on my show, or they were on my show a bunch of times, obviously I recommend them. And so it's very important to understand that you never know who's watching, you never know who knows who. And by sharing and following, you might get somebody booked, you might get them work, you might introduce them to somebody, or, if you're a fan of a particular company, you want that artist to do a cover for that company, let that company know. That goes a long way too, and it makes a difference. And even more so, obviously, if people have Patreons or GoFundMe's or PayPal's or Buy Me Coffees, support those too, because it is a tough segment to be in producing comics, producing artwork, covers. Nobody gets paid what they should be getting paid. It's not an easy gig, but obviously, that stuff goes a long way as well. Furthermore, I'm an independent content creator. While I do have a sponsor, and I appreciate my sponsor, I am very much an indie content creator, and I do have a Kickstarter launching sooner rather than later. But I do appreciate everybody who does share this, because sharing matters. Obviously, I got 4 people watching. If you guys want to share it, that'd be great. I appreciate. If you already shared it, I appreciate it even more. Liking it, hearts always help me. But even going further, for everybody who's watching this later on, as I stated, I'm independent. I don't have corporate money. My sponsor pays for a bunch of stuff and very helpful, but there's a bunch of stuff I do need going further, and I do have to buy me a coffee. It's in the link up above or down below, depending on where you're watching. And every dollar matters to me, and it goes a long way, because all this goes back into this project, and it's not cheap to run this show. And I appreciate any generosity, but as I stated, if you have to choose between money and sharing, I would much rather you share, because I want as many people to see this interview as possible. So that's all I have, and I'm going to give you the final word.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I hope you get success in your Kickstarter. Will you share me your link? I can try to share it on my page or Facebook, personal Facebook account.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
I'll tag you in anyway, because I'm going on a whole tagging spree, like 70 groups on Facebook. I'm aggressive. I'm sure some groups are not going to be happy with me. That's all right. I'll take the L and we'll move on. But on that note, I believe this is a wrap.